Welcome back to Welcome Back. I, of course, am your other host, Zane, and today in the studio with me, obviously all of us here at the Welcome Back Studios are super excited for the big game tomorrow night, and we are lucky enough to be interviewing one of the hottest players in town for the past 10. Please, with warm hearts, welcome to the studio, Grimbert Schnoz.
You're welcome.
He is the just most amazing Bresketball Danker to watch play the game.
Nobody danks those Bresketballs like me, Grimbert Schnoz.
He is just amazing. You're amazing at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, I need you to explain to everybody that doesn't know what's going on, because obviously all of us here are super excited for the game tomorrow, because this is a big one. It's the big game. But for the people that don't know what's about to go down tomorrow, could you explain to the people with less knowledge what it is that you're getting yourself into?
Well, it's pretty simple, you fucking caterpillar. I take the Bresketball and I just dank it as hard as I can. That's why they call me the Bresketball Danker, all right. And you know, in the big game, we all start out in the big green field and we all get let out of our shells at the very beginning. And we know that we have to find that Bresketball, and we just have to dank it as hard as we can. And so it's, you know, there's, as everyone who knows anything about Bresketball knows, there's 3 Bresketballs on the field at any given time.
Right.
And then surrounding the Bresketballs, you have a bunch of smaller Desketballs. Now, a lot of dankers, not me, Grimbert Schnoz, that is,
right,
but the lesser dankers that don't get on these podcasts like I do, they'll just pick up the Desketballs and they'll try to deposit them in the other team's shells for groit points. But what makes you a real pro Bresketball danker like myself is that you ignore the Desketballs and you go right for the Bresketballs, because you know that in one of those 3 Bresketballs, there's a loaded gun. And really, I think what's exciting about Bresketball and the dankers who play it so well and attract so many viewers is that it's part of a big front to try and have hidden guns added to the field in a bunch of different sports. Whether they're hidden in the ball or buried under one of the bases in the stick hit one, Bresketball danking is really, I think, the beginning of adding load firearms into games. But yes, you go for the Bresketballs. Not only are the Bresketballs worth more groit points in the shell than your average smaller Desketballs, you know that one of them's got a gun inside of it, which can just really turn the game around.
As soon as one of those are out on the field, the atmosphere of the whole stadium shifts. Mainly because we all know the debacle of '88, where somebody,
It's quite the debacle.
5 seconds out of their shell, find that loaded gun, whole scene just goes black.
Let me just say, you don't think you're a danker until you have to start danking when that gun's on the field.
It's all fun and games until someone finds the loaded gun inside
Exactly.
the Bresketball.
And then it becomes just games.
No more fun, only games. I do have to ask, though.
You really do. I can see you straining.
Now, the thing is, you're going into this big game. You've been playing for at least
Racking
10.
up groit points like nobody's business.
For the past 10.
For the past 10 all the way since '88.
It's amazing that you've been doing this for so
Yes.
long. Now, the thing is, I have to ask, because you have been at the top of your game since you've been in this league.
Exactly. I've literally been at the top. As everyone knows, points are divided at the end by having a big hog pile in the middle of the stadium. And what I do is I wait until everyone else has piled up their hog, and I climb my way onto the top. And it just really brings my danks into the greatest percentage.
Now, the thing other people need to know about the game is
They
obviously,
really need to know.
once you've got that loaded gun, you also have the threat factor to you to threaten them to
Exactly.
give you more to put into your hog pile.
Exactly. Nothing like a hog pile except some lead.
Now I have to ask, how do you go about preparing for such a big game like tomorrow's game?
Well, when I know I gotta dank as many Bresketballs as I can, my preparation mostly involves the ingestion of celery. You see, there's a there's a magnet inside of this gun, and it's a celery magnet, and they don't tell you this. And really, it's only when you're a top Bresketball danker like myself that you're able to go into the rule books and find these things out for yourself.
Yeah.
But antimatter's a thing, and it attracts itself to matter, which is its destructive property.
Of course.
And there's only one type of antimatter that's safe enough that can survive a collision with regular matter and not result in a complete nuclear explosion.
Wow.
And that's the antimatter that's found in specific strains of celery. Again, these are only the things that pro-Bresketball dankers like myself, Grimbert Schnoz, know about this sport. So when I've got enough celery flowing through my system, and when I've got a big dank coming up, I'm more celery than man. It's able to hone my senses to be able to find this loaded gun hidden inside one of the Bresketballs.
Now, if you're good at Bresketball,
I'm the best at Bresketball.
Obviously, we see you out on that field. You know exactly which balls to go for. You know to avoid those dusket balls. You know which jam is good jam. You know when to get your groit points.
Exactly.
I do have to ask.
There's veins popping in your forehead from all the questions you have to ask. They're like little caterpillars on your fucking forehead.
I do want to know. Now, even though you've been the best at this game for obviously we know exactly how long.
Yeah, one of those numbers you kept talking around. Sometimes I get my numbers confused because math fucking sucks.
And as you know, teams are made up of two, right? It's 16 people out on that field, and only one person from each team is playing.
Exactly.
And your backup is only there if you can't go for some reason, but your backup has never played.
It's just been the me.
Little Jimmy Johns has never been out on that field.
Yeah, poor little Jimmy Johns.
How do you feel, since we've never seen him play, how do you feel about the fact that there are trade rumors going around that you might be traded to the Wonton Ramadans?
Well, I'll tell you why that's not true, and I actually love that you got to bring this up.
Okay.
Because here's what would happen if I got traded to the Dumton Dummadons. I call them that because they don't cheat on their math tests. Is that if I get traded over to the Wonton Ramajons, which I call them because they're all named John, is that Jimmy Johns would have to replace me because he's always the one that gets put on my backup. He's the only one who even has comparable skills to me.
Yeah.
The other 14 of the people that are JR are just inchworms. But the reason I can't get traded over is because Jimmy Johns is too busy running his successful franchised sandwich shop in order to get traded over to the 1-1-1-1s, which is what I call them because I can only count to one. Because you go outside, you see Jimmy John's, it's a fucking sandwich shop.
Yeah.
He's so not good at being a Bresketball danker that he had to open a sandwich shop named after him just to make enough money to go home to his wolf wife at night and have sex over a bed of onions and smell like a fucking caterpillar on your fucking forehead. So, unless my team wants to shoot themselves in the foot, which they can't because only I know where the gun is, they're not gonna trade me to anybody.
Well said. Spoken like a true champ of Bresketball.
As if there was ever any doubt.
Good luck on that field tomorrow. Grimbert Schnoz. Can't wait to see you perform.
Gonna be racking up those groit points like Doritos at the foot of my bed.